Hi guys, it's PanelHopper here again, and I'm back with another Doctor Who Thoughts video. This time, I thought I'd do an extra long one and fan craft, that is to say, fan cast, and then also put some outlines out for episodes I would do if I were writing the show, and I'm a professional writer, but I'm not. A 16th Doctor era. Now, why am I saying this when the 15th Doctor, the 15th Doctor's era is not even over? That's a good question. It has to do not with the quality of Series 14. I've done a Series 14 review, which you can watch whenever you like. It's on this channel. I enjoyed it mostly. The bulk was good. It had a weak beginning and a weak ending. But it occurred to me that unless we get news of Ncuti Gatwa's contract being renewed for another 2 seasons and the show being renewed for another 2 seasons with Disney Plus, or some kind of news about the continuation of the show after Series 2, which has already been Season 2/Series 15, which has already been filmed, then we might end up with a 15th Doctor era that only lasts about 17 or 18 episodes. You know, if you include the 2 Christmas specials, the one we've had and we're about to have, and these 2 8-episode series, altogether, his era could wind up being only around for another 9 episodes. So I thought to myself, why don't I just fan cast and fan write, but again, I'm not a professional writer, a 16th Doctor era just for fun? You know, all of this is me having a bit of creative fun in the mental sandbox. None of it is based on any rumour, none of it is based on any behind-the-scenes knowledge, and none of it is going to happen because I'm not in charge of the show. Thankfully, I'm not qualified to be in charge of Doctor Who. As much as I love it, and as much as I would love to be a professional screenwriter, I'm not. So if you disagree with any of my choices, feel free to tell me in the comments, because engagement is good, but you can relax because, well, it's just a bit of fun, isn't it? So, first and foremost, I am filming vertically, but never mind that. First and foremost, let's go with the casting of the 16th Doctor. The 16th Doctor should be, in my opinion, should be Jodie Comer. Now, if you've subscribed to my channel before and you're aware of things I've said about the show in the past, you may be aware that I have previously said that Jodie Comer wouldn't ever be able to play the Doctor. That remains true. You know, she is massive at the moment. She has been in several high-profile films and several high-profile TV shows. She is one of those people that goes on a short list of actors to play the Doctor, but she's not necessarily likely to take the role. And if she did, she wouldn't just be doing Villanelle, which is what a lot of people seem to assume when you say that. But I still think we should cast Jodie Comer. I think that if you look at the work she's done, both in Killing Eve and all her other stuff, she has fantastic range. I think she could craft herself into the role of the Doctor in a way that's different from any work she's done before and any other actor who's done it before. And I think it would be good. Personally, for me, I would love to see her do her Liverpudlian accent. I think that would be a good form of regional representation here in the UK. You know, we've had multiple Doctors at this point with regional accents: Jodie Whittaker, Peter Capaldi, Christopher Eccleston, and we've had multiple Liverpudlian Doctors, but no, or Liverpudlian actors playing the Doctor, but no one who has yet used their traditional Scouse accent. And I think it would be really, really good if we did that. I'm not going to do a fake one to demonstrate, but if you know the Scouse accent, I think it could be fun. Now, I'm not a costume designer, so we're going to skip over that part. You can imagine Jodie Comer to be, as 16th Doctor, to be wearing whichever costume you think is more appropriate for doctors. I like kind of bohemian mishmash look. Fourth Doctor, 10th Doctor, that kind of thing. We all have a long coat on a Doctor, but I'm not a costume designer, so we're going to leave that bit out. Same with music. We're not going to do that bit either, because again, I love music, but I'm not well versed enough in music to say, oh yeah, I changed this score or that score or whatever. The companion, I would really love there to be a different kind of companion. The fan base in general has been asking for a companion that is not a 21st century young woman for a long time, and I happen to agree. I would prefer, at this point, I think, because we are now almost exactly 20 years from when the show came back in 2005, I think we could do a companion from, say, 2003 or 2004 and get away with saying, look, that's a companion from the relatively recent past, but still the past. Think about it. If you had someone who was meeting the Doctor in 2003, relatively speaking, and you had them be brought back for the kind of on-Earth adventures into the present day of, let's say, 2026 or 2027, you could make something as a writer out of the various changes that have occurred in the last 27 years since the early 2000s. I think that has a huge potential for different perspectives on the show. You could have someone who is, because if you think about 2005 in the Whoniverse itself, it's quite exciting. There are a lot of huge changes that occur for the people of the everyday world in 2005, following the Aliens of London incident, and following Harold Saxon's election as Prime Minister, and so on and so forth. All the stuff that occurs and is canonical to have occurred in circa 2005, all of that, in my head, has always helped to sculpt the modern Whoniverse into a world that is similar to ours and set in the same time frame, but also socially quite different. I've always imagined it to be socially quite different. And so I would love to do at least one episode, whether it's the intro or whether it's a middle series episode or whether it's just sprinkled throughout the series going forward as the Doctor returns to present day to refuel, to talk about the differences between, say, 2004 and 2026. I don't know quite how we would do that, as I've just said, but I would love to see that. You could talk about not just changes in technology, but changes in social attitudes, changes in the geopolitical condition. It would be a really good way, a bit like how it's done in Life on Mars and Ash to Ashes. It would be a really good way to just highlight not only what life used to be like, if you're not old enough to remember. I am, but lots of people won't be. But also to create a narrative. You could create a narrative around the companion whereby they are, whoever they are, male, female, other, they could be, disenfranchised living in 2004. The kind of, because 2004 was a weird time. We're middle of Iraq War, and then the Doctor takes them on adventures and brings them back to 2027, and a bit like the unit dating controversy, maybe they feel a bit more at home in the near future than they do in their own time. That, I think, is a really interesting concept that we should play around with. What else would I love to do? As I've said again, I've said this in other videos, but I'll say it again. I would really love to bring back Torchwood. Not the original Torchwood team from the 2006 spin-off. I don't think we can do that now. But we could bring back certain characters like Gwen. I definitely would bring back the concept of Torchwood. I would love that. You've got Torchwood 4, mentioned in the first episode of Torchwood, is still missing. We don't know where it is. I would love to explore that. It might be in Northern Ireland, considering that the other Torchwood bases are all near or around the other UK capital cities. I would love to have Torchwood 4 be a kind of weird, stuck in a time warp, imperialist situation. A bit like Torchwood 2 was, but more severe. Perhaps we could do that. It wouldn't have to be linked in to the history of Northern Ireland. That's probably going too far for a Doctor Who. But we could definitely make them British imperialists and see how we deal with that. I would also love to learn the names of the Weevils from Torchwood. They're called Weevils to us and within the show, but we don't know what their species name is or their planet of origin. I feel like the Doctor would know that, and I would love to be able to explore that in writing. I would, for more stories I'd love to do, I would love to do the Weeping Angels, connecting them to the English Reformation, indirectly, not directly. Because again, we're touching on religion there, and we don't want to say that aliens caused the English Reformation, because who knows how that will come out. But I would love to do an English Reformation episode, Henry VIII, really interesting time period. I would love to, and the BBC is good at costume drama, and I would love to stick the Weeping Angels in there somewhere. The Daleks, so the Daleks obviously are going to be absent from the show for a while, I think, and that's good, but I also happen to be of the opinion that every incarnation of the Doctor needs to face the Daleks at least once. It's kind of a litmus test, a benchmark for whatever incarnation of the Doctor we're currently on. So I would have that happen in my first 16th Doctor series. And then returning elements. We don't want too many of these because we've just had a finale where there have been some legitimate concerns about whether Sutekh, even though we as Doctor Who fans are all happy to see him, whether Sutekh is a much too much of a deep cut for the new audience the show is supposedly trying to cultivate with its Disney Plus distribution deal. So I wouldn't want to do too many. I thought about putting some Class references in, because as I said before, Class is a bad show, but it has good individual elements, and I think we could take those individual elements out of Class and reintroduce them in Doctor Who and just say, look, this is a villain. The Shadowkin are a villain. The Doctor's met them before. You don't really need to say when. And the fans will know. For the handful of Class fans that are there. And finally, the other element I'd love to play with is unit. I think if we can't have a companion from the near past, my other alternative would be having a companion who is a unit scientist. Now I know we've had lots of unit connections in this last series, and that's good. I think that RTD and I are on the same page about unit being interesting, but I would love to have a companion who is a unit doctor, travel with the Doctor. Obviously, in my heart of hearts, I want this to be Martha Jones. I think a lot of people would like that. But again, you get that question of, if you want to make the show accessible, as every new Doctor era is meant to be, You can't have Freema Agyeman coming back on the show saying, "Hello, Doctor, remember me?" Because some people, because she's not been on the show for what will be, in this hypothetical 16th Doctor era, what will be 20 years, some people are going to go, "Who?" It's like if you after school reunion, Sarah Jane had entirely replaced Rose Tyler. It wouldn't have worked. School reunion works because it gives you as an audience member new context on the Doctor having multiple companions, having previous incarnations, but it's not required. It's you can understand that when you watch the episode. It's not required of you to comprehend the episode overall. The episode teaches you who Sarah Jane is, regardless of whether or not you've even heard of her. And I don't think including Martha Jones would be helpful in that regard. However, I would still love a unit scientist to be maybe the main companion. Perhaps that's the reason why the 16th Doctor keeps getting pulled back to Earth to liaise with unit. Perhaps that's why you take a character from 2003 and you pull them into the present day. I don't know, but I like that idea. So what have we got so far? We've got a Weeping Angels episode. We've got the return of the concept of Torchwood. We've got more unit characters, but focusing down on them. And we've got Weeping Angels in the English Reformation. That's kind of... Those are the kind of stories I'd want to play with. Obviously, there would be more. 8 episodes are not enough. I would increase... If I were in charge, I would increase the number of episodes to a nice, healthy 12. We can't do more than 12 in the modern era, but we can do 12 and we can give these stories room to breathe, and mostly we can bring in new writers and more writers, because I think that's honestly part of the show's problem at this point, is that we haven't had that many new writers, and it might need new writers, and I would desperately hope that it gets them. And yeah, that's my concept for a 16th Doctor era. You've got Jodie Comer and a unit scientist from 2003 ping-ponging around the universe, fighting Weeping Angels in the English Reformation, and so on and so on. All of these ideas are obviously open to change. I'd love to discuss it more. I'd love to see... Actually, that's another one. I'd love to see the Schalke Doctor canon. That's what I would do. I would do at least one crossover episode with the Schalke Doctor and say, look, he's canon. It could be a sequel to Future of the Doctor, that's what I'd love to do. All of these ideas are obviously fair game. If you want to hate them in the comments, you can hate them. If you want to tell me you like them in the comments, tell me you like them. But those are my ideas. This has been a really long video, one of the longest I've ever made. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. I've been working on the channel for over 10 years now. And I would love to have some more engagement. Anyway, that's it from me. I won't do another video for a while now, but I will be back in a couple of weeks to talk about X-Men 97. See you guys, bye.